You know it's Mercury retrograde when you're sitting in traffic and it's not even rush hour yet. And this is going 5 different ways and all of them are slow. You know it's Mercury retrograde when random arguments come up. You know it's Mercury retrograde when they give you OG instead of ZA. If you know them code words. For the stoners, for the 420ers. You know it's Mercury retrograde when you're a Taurus and you had an either extreme birthday or a lousy birthday based on finances. Mercury in retrograde in Taurus.
You know it's Mercury retrograde when you pay your Wi-Fi bill and it still does not work.
Xfinity. And you know you're safe from Mercury retrograde if it's not aspecting, you don't have it in any fixed signs, and you were born during Mercury retrograde on your birth chart. Alrighty, welcome back to Get a Life Astrology with your girl TMZ. Teaching everyone abundantly, empowering many, Zakia, enlightening every day. And this is Get a Life Astrology, growing into divine adults, loving yourself forever. What are we talking about today? I mean, if y'all ain't feeling these strong energies, what are you doing out here? We got Mercury in a Cazimi, not only retrograde, okay, smack in the middle of the retrograde, but it's in the Cazimi with the sun. So I don't have 2 yellow 11s because they're both in Taurus. We're in Taurus season, so that's why the sun is at 12 degrees tomorrow. It's at 11 degrees technically because it's conjunct Mercury. What is a Cazimi? We'll talk about that in a second. We have Pluto in 0 degrees also now. Y'all forgive me, I gotta advance my materials here in Taurus season. Also in retrograde, I only have 1 retrograde sign, but I'll get another. So Pluto just moved into retrograde today too. 2 huge things on top of, by the end of this week, we're gonna have the wrapping up of the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Right now you can see above me, the moon is in Virgo. So in 4 short days, it'll be in Scorpio. And when that happens, buddy, and you can really feel the energy building up now because lunar eclipses are full moons. So we're getting ready to have the Scorpio moon. Y'all always know the Scorpio moon is intense. We're in the middle of 2 retrogrades. One of them is the ruler of this eclipse, Pluto. The other ruler is in another water sign, Mars, in Cancer. So we got to talk about all of that. Then we also have to talk about still all these things that are in Taurus that are not technically conjuncting as much as they were anymore, but they're going to be sextiling these the moon in a water sign as well as Mars in a water sign. So we got to discuss that and all the other aspects that are really important. But today we're literally going to concentrate on Pluto retrograde, Mercury Cazimi, and that eclipse coming up. So let's get busy. So again, let's talk about what a Cazimi is really quick. Mercury is the planet of communication, and I have all my ruling planets and a few of their characteristics right here on the chart. So let's refer to this chart. Mercury is a planet that rules Gemini and Virgo. However, it's in Taurus right now. It's communication. It's your intellect. It's your cleverness. It's your knowledge. It also has to do with numbers, and Taurus has to do with finances. Taurus, I don't have the characteristics of the signs, but Taurus, offhand, finances, material things, what you value, your resources, security, stability, all things fixed earth, okay? Fixed earth is hard to break. It's hard to change. Uranus in Taurus, which has been there for a while, okay, and we're now at the 18th degree. So Uranus in Taurus is getting ready to move into its last decan, which means a couple more years we'll be out of Uranus and Taurus. But Uranus is in its detriment, which means it's not in its comfortable position in Taurus. So that's already a struggle with finances. And it's not only about struggle. So Uranus, since we're talking about it really quick and tying it into the Mercury Cazimi in Taurus, Uranus, since the sun is moving forward, Uranus and the sun will conjunct soon in Taurus, right? But Mercury and Uranus already conjunct, and now Mercury's moving retrograde backwards. So the importance of this is that Mercury is going to go direct mid-May, in a couple of weeks, and it'll go back over Uranus again, okay? And so therefore, after we move with this Cazimi, after the sun has exposed Mercury's information about finances, information about resources. Let's just pause here real quick, okay? Because I tell truths that are tied into astrology. So if you don't know that the United States is almost out of money, that we're getting ready to change around the money, that there's an inflation going on, that it's going to get worse, that our resources really have to tap in to the innovation, the surprise, the rebellion of Uranus, you'll soon find out once Mercury goes back direct and it passes back again. I believe when they did have their conjunction a couple of weeks ago, when Mercury was closer to Uranus the first time, right? I believe that was when, I want to say Tucker lost his job. Okay. That's information that is hidden. So we're tying into, when we get on to Pluto, we're tying in all the scorpionic characteristics of Pluto, even though it's in Aquarius, but it's still in fixed sign. Then we're going to have to also tie it into when the moon moves into Scorpio, which is the fixed water, right? A lot to talk about with that. But back to the Cazimi. Mercury, Cazimi, the sun shines light on everything, right? The sun is shining light on the information that Mercury's getting ready to give, okay? Today, I can say that I stayed in the house all day, worked from home, but I got plenty of information from my job. So also Taurus characteristics is about work ethics. So are all the other earth signs. But plenty of information about my job. My job had birthday celebrations today, celebrating. I mean, the whole weekend was about shopping, eating good. We had cookouts. I mean, like, that's Taurus energy. But now the information coming in, like I woke up this morning like, okay, I want to save money. I woke up this morning saying, okay, I want to eat less. I want to eat healthier. So this retrograde is not only reprogramming our minds, but the sun is exposing it, saying, yes, this is what your ego wants. Yes, this is what you are destined to do, because Mercury in retrograde, any sign in retrograde, any planet in retrograde reviews things. It goes back over it. And so we're going back over what we value. Yes, I value, just literally last episode was about 420 and me celebrating being a stoner. And today I woke up and said, you know what? I don't want to be a stoner during the weekdays. If I have to have it, I will do it on the weekend so I can focus and work on my finances, work on my resources, work on my security and keeping my family, keeping my job, all those kind of things. So I really worked hard today with this Cazimi. Just heard some gunshots. All right, I left the retrograde sign on Pluto because let's talk about Pluto, okay? Pluto just moved into Aquarius literally a month and a half ago, less than like 6 weeks ago, right? March the 23rd. It was like the day when, right after the spring equinox started, right after the new year, right? The real new year, the zodiac new year, right after Aries season began. And now Pluto is going back into Capricorn by June the 12th. So it's at 0 degrees, but Pluto moves slowly. Therefore, it'll slowly move back into Capricorn. It'll be back in Aquarius in January. I believe it's the 20-something of 2024. So now Pluto's in retrograde. When I think of Pluto being in retrograde, let me just keep this here, okay? When I think of Pluto being in retrograde, I think of intense transformation and it being in Aquarius. So the Aquarius energies are just like the Uranus energies, because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So the Aquarius energy with Pluto, the transformational planet, Pluto also represents depth and power. It also represents fear. I say it represents intensity. So we're in for an intense ride as a collective, because Pluto is a collective planet. Aquarius is a collective sign. And even though Pluto is the slowest moving planet, we're literally going to slowly but surely, and this is no doubt, okay? No doubt in my mind. Y'all can check back with me in 2024 about what I'm saying today on May the 1st, 2023. There's no doubt in my mind that the collective's headed individually, okay? Individually with Mercury into some informational stuff. But Pluto also represents hidden stuff. So does Scorpio. Aquarius being the opposite of Leo, which is the sun's ruler. Sun rules Leo. So when the sun is in Aquarius, it's the farthest away. It's the darkest. It's the coldest part of the winter, right? So Aquarius represents darkness too. So we have the planet of darkness with the sign of darkness, along with other planets that represent, like Saturn. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. So Saturn represents darkness as well as Capricorn. That's the other. Saturn represents two signs, Capricorn and Cancer. You know, it's Mercury retrograde when your nail is missing too, and it just fell off like right before this video. But anyway, darkness, a lot of hidden things, a lot of things coming to the surface with retrograde, because again, we have to reevaluate what we're transforming into. We have to reevaluate what the collective needs to do in order to find the hidden secrets, find out how we need to be innovative, especially with Mercury retrograde in Taurus, especially with Uranus in Taurus, giving us information about our finances and our resources. Like I said, this inflation is coming and it's getting heavier. It's not like going backwards. We literally thought the gas was going down and now it's back up to $4 in DC. I don't know how it is for the rest of the country. But 0 degrees also is, what's the word, y'all? See, Mercury retrograde makes you tongue-tied. I already said that in my little introduction and the one I put on that I put on TikTok. But one second. I really have no clue on what I wanted to say at the end, so I'm gonna keep on going because I don't want this to be too long. Let's get to this eclipse. So the moon is currently in 27 degrees. It's actually having an opposition with Neptune right now. They both are actually in 26 degrees, but again, I don't have two numbers of the same color. So I had to put 26, which is definitely where Neptune is, but the moon is at 26. The moon moves fast, so it's probably at 27 right now. Anyway, they're having an opposition. Just wanted to point that out with the Pisces and Virgo axis. So the moon is actually, Neptune is the planet of illusions, dreams, unconsciousness, and the moon is how we react to that. So I could tell a long story about that, but we're not really talking about oppositions right now or the moon because the moon is getting ready to switch. So let's fast forward to this eclipse with the the moon entering Scorpio. Y'all bear with me. I literally am trying to slow down because Mercury in retrograde, anything in retrograde wants you to slow down and reevaluate. So let me pause for a second. Okay, y'all, here we are. The moon, and I took the degree off because it has to be yellow, and we're just literally just talking about the moon and what it's going to be aspecting. Well, let's start off with this conjunction with the South Node. So again, conjunctions bring blended energies. The moon is how we react. The South Node is the opposite of the North Node. The North Node is our destiny. The South Node is our karma. The North Node is what we're moving towards, which is in Taurus. And the South Node is what we're moving away from. So not only are they conjunct, okay, and the North Node is at 3 degrees in Taurus. So the South Node is in 3 degrees at Scorpio, and they always retrograde, so I don't need to put the retrograde sign on there. They're always in retrograde. They always move backwards. So in a couple of weeks, they'll be in 2 degrees. A couple more weeks after that, they'll be in 1 degree. Then they'll be in 0 degrees. Then they'll move in the 29th degree of the next signs that are before them. So the South Node will be in Libra by July, and the North Node will be in Aries by July as well. So this is the lunar eclipse. The eclipses are based on the nodes, and the eclipses have been happening in Scorpio and Taurus up until last week, the first day of Taurus season, I believe, the second day, like the 21st, when we had the second Aries, we had the second eclipse and the second Aries new moon. So we had the Aries new moon that happened, I'm bad with dates, y'all. So it happened at 0 degrees of Aries. It had to be the first day of Aries season. Then we had the second Aries new moon. So the Aries new moon is with the solar eclipse. So it's with the sun, still in Aries at 29 degrees. The moon was also at Aries at 29 degrees. They both were switching to Taurus, okay? But again, the moon moves every 2.5 days. So that's why we're at Scorpio now. And we're still in Taurus sun. Long story short, the reason you have 2 new moons in the same sign is because the nodes are getting ready to switch, and so are the eclipses. So we started the Aries eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries last week, about 2 weekends ago now. And by July, we'll start the Aries North Node for 18 months and the Libra South Node for 18 months. This Scorpio and Taurus nodes started January 2022, like the second week. Finances were off the chain. I could not keep money in my pocket. I was literally living off of $400 a week and paying like $300 in Airbnb. So it was rough. But now things are starting to pick up, especially if you have fixed sign placements in your big 3, sun, moon, rising. So I'm a Scorpio sun. Finances are looking up. For the collective though, little trouble. Don't know what to expect for any of us, so we'll have to double back on that. Long story short, the moon is how we react. The south node is what we're releasing. Scorpio is a releasing planet. When you think of the body part that Scorpio represents, it's your genitals. So you release things from your genitals every day, hopefully, if you're eating right. So we release children from our genitals, male and female. So think of release when you think of Scorpio. Think of release with the Scorpio South Node. What are we releasing? What are we letting go? What we don't value anymore? Because the opposite of Scorpio is Taurus. Taurus is about our values. Scorpio is about other people's values. Taurus is about money. Scorpio is about other people's money. Taurus is about what you desire. Scorpio is about your hidden desires. You see the comparisons in the opposition signs. Aries is peace. I'm sorry, Aries is war. Libra is peace. So that's how you get it. Long story short, the moon will aspect everything else in these fixed signs. There's nothing in Libra, so we're not going, I'm sorry, Leo. So we're not going to talk about fixed fire. But this buddy here, fixed air, Pluto. So Pluto and Mars, like I said, Mars in Cancer. Scorpio is ruled by Mars as well as Pluto. So they both are ruling this eclipse because the eclipse is in their sign, okay? I'm not talking about what sign they're in currently. I'm talking about the sign that they rule. So Pluto rules Scorpio, Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. So with the planet Mars being about aggression, your drive, your energy, your competitiveness, and Pluto being about transformation, power, fear, intensity, what do you think this moon is going to be doing to us on this weekend? Okay, so first of all, I'm not scaring anyone, don't want to fearmonger anyone, but looking at my notes here, Pluto co-ruling with Mars, this eclipse, they both are maleficent planets. Hopefully I said that right. Mal means bad, even though there's no good or bad. This is the energy that people might take on, okay, coming up towards this eclipse. Intense, powerful, fearful. So the question is, and now I'm going to the houses, whatever planets, if you have it in big 3, you have in Scorpio or Taurus or Aquarius or Leo, the fixed signs, mainly Taurus and Scorpio. What truths, because Scorpio represents secrets and truths, what truths are you hiding and fearing to step into your power? Or let me say that better. What truths about yourself as an individual and about the collective? Because Pluto's collective, Mars is individual planets, right? What are you hiding from yourself? What are you fearing that you don't want, that you know you could step into your power, but you're fearful about it? For example, I have Scorpio in the 2nd house because I'm a Libra rising. I don't know if you can see this. I have Scorpio in the 2nd house. What's in the 2nd house? All Taurus stuff. Money, work, income, daily routines, values, materials, possessions, priorities, habits, your job, and work ethic. So me, I used to fear, I wouldn't say I used to fear working hard because I have a Capricorn moon, so I'm gonna work hard. That's how I react. I work when I'm upset. So making money makes me happy, right? But I really couldn't see myself stepping out into my own, or showing how great I am, because I also have Saturn and Leo. Saturn rules Capricorn. Long story short, I know I do well at work. I know when I push myself, I step into my power, I am awesome at work. But when I fear getting a promotion, when I fear going for the job, when I fear starting my business and keeping it up, when I fear that I don't have the best work ethics or the best habits. No, I just told you this morning I woke up and cut one of my habits, and I'm having a pretty good sober day. Okay. But my routines, once I fear the change of the routines, but I step into my power and say, you know what, I'm gonna be fine. It's only a week. It's fine. Okay. So that's just an example of me and what I am fearful of sometimes. But when I do step into my power, it's fine. As a collective, are we fearful of leaving the church? Getting off of government assistance? Not voting because we have the right, even though it's never nothing changing, even though we have the right? What as a collective are we fearful of? And if we release those things with this eclipse, how powerful can we be? We outnumber it. I'm going to do a series. We outnumber the government, right? We outnumber the church leaders and the celebrities and things that we want to release, hopefully. They serve us they do no service for us, y'all. They literally do. If you're honest with yourself, if you're fearful about how Sky Daddy will drop a lightning bolt down on you because you left the church, check it out and see if that's going to happen. Stay inside if you're that fearful. If you're fearful that the government assistance, because listen, that's one thing that I was fearful of. I did have food stamps up until I got promoted last Halloween in 2022. They cut my food stamps and I'm fine. I don't like to spend money on food, but it also helped me eat less and lose some weight because I don't want to pay for food with my real money, you know. So, but it helped me literally step into being healthy and not having to worry about the government or standing in long lines to get those benefits. Because the government is falling anyway, and so the money is changing, y'all. Honestly, it's changing. I'm looking at the time, so I'm gonna cut this long speech. One more thing I wanted to say about this eclipse with the Scorpio moon, Scorpio full moon, the last lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse means the moon cycles are changing. So like I said, we had 2 new moons. The second new moon should have been in Taurus, but because the nodes are getting ready to switch, the eclipses are switching as well. This is the last lunar eclipse that we'll have with the Taurus and Scorpio nodes with the axis, right? So when the lunar cycles switch, we had the new moon starting us off at the beginning of the seasons, and now they're ending the seasons, and the full moons will start off the seasons, right? So our next new moon will be at the end of the Taurus season. I think it's May the 18th, which is the last day of Taurus season, or the 19th. And that'll be the new moon in Taurus. So now our new energy will be at the end. It won't come in with the sun like it has been until we switch the nodes again. So now we're in, this also happened, we were in the Cancer and Capricorn cycle when the new moon was last instead of being first at the beginning of each season. Each season means whatever the sun moves into the next season. So at the end of Taurus season, we'll have the new moon, the new energies. It's hard to describe, especially in Mercury retrograde. It's hard to describe that you want those new energies to be at the beginning, but somehow we have to release now at the beginning of each season. So when Gemini starts, it'll be the Sagittarius moon at the beginning of Gemini season. Something like that, y'all. But we'll be releasing, because with full moons we release, with new moons we start the new energies. We write new intentions to set for the next 6 months until the moons switch. So if you're starting your new moon intentions with the Gemini moon, the new moon, by the time Sagittarius season comes around, those intentions should be set. and should have happened for you. That's what you do with the new moon. With the full moon, you write what you're releasing. In another 6 months, with the next full moon in your opposite sign, you'll hopefully have released all those things by then. So, doubling back, in Scorpio season, when we had the full moon in Taurus, I have released some of the material things. The full moon was in Taurus and Scorpio season. By Sagittarius Capricorn season, at the end of December, I had moved into my own place and I had to release a lot of things. Actually, in Sagittarius season, I went to Vegas and I had lived there right before COVID started, and I had 8 bags of things I left in storage since 2019 over there, and I went at the end of November in 2022 around Thanksgiving week, and I only brought back 2 bags. I had to throw away all that stuff. So just release, especially with material things. Especially with material things. That's what the code was for the Taurus full moon back in 2022 of Scorpio season. So other than that, this eclipse could bring a little bit of competitiveness with Mars energy, a little bit of fear with Pluto energy, representing the Scorpio lunar eclipse. Again, individually, we have to release what is not driving us with that Mars energy being the individual planet. Pluto, we have to release what the collective doesn't need anymore. And like I said, and I know I might get some flack about this, and feel free to put it in the comments, but we have to release that government. We have to release these celebrities. We have to release these big corporations, big pharma. We have to release these banks. We have to work together. Pluto in Aquarius is about humanity and working together in society in different kind of innovative ways. And last thing I want to say is that moon is going to be, with Pluto in retrograde, that moon is going to be aspecting, squaring. So the fixed signs square each other, unless they are opposition signs. So Pluto will be squaring, the moon will be squaring Pluto. That brings conflict, but with conflict brings resolution. So I want to say after this eclipse happens and the moon moves into Sag and it starts squaring everything that's in the mutable signs, it might be a little foggy, but by the time the moon gets to, I want to say, Aquarius, and it meets with this retrograde, the retrograde of Mercury will be over. Maybe so the Mercury retrograde ends on May the 15th. So let's expect this energy to be totally past, and we have released, and we can get ready for the new moon in Taurus, and magically, mysteriously, hopefully, big signs and our loved ones can be relieved from some of the stress that's going to come from Pluto retrograde moving back into Capricorn. One last thing I want to say about Pluto retrograde moving back into Capricorn. When we move back into Capricorn, that represents the government, that represents restrictions, that represents all things Saturn, discipline, hard work ethic even. It's not all bad, it's not all mal. But do we really want to see what this government has in store for us again? Because that's going to be the key. It's not only going to retrograde now back into Capricorn, but it's also going to retrograde one last time in the middle of 2024 for a short period, and then go back, because Pluto retrogrades every year for 4 months, right? But we're going to see literally 3 times. We've already seen it one time, how messed up that government is to this collective, and how we don't need them no more, because we already got a taste of Pluto and Aquarius. And Pluto and Aquarius showed us that AI can help us relax and let them do the work, let the technology do the work. Pluto and Aquarius has already showed us that we have to be innovative, we have to work together, barter system, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, let's do this for humanity. The truth coming out of Pluto with the hidden stuff. We're already recognizing the stuff that happens with children, the hidden stuff that happens with a lot of things that I don't want to get in trouble for being banned on here, but please visit my TikTok to know more truths. But it's humanity is literally coming together to wake up the consciousness on the earth with Pluto and Aquarius. So why would we want to move back to this energy? I mean, it's going to happen, but it's literally showing us the lessons that need to be learned as a collective. So just keep that in mind as the Scorpio lunar eclipse shines light on that. All right. I think that's enough for today, y'all. I will be back more after this eclipse, maybe during this eclipse with the live on TikTok, to just tap into these energies a little bit better, because we are transforming every day. We are growing into divine adults and loving ourselves, loving yourself forever. And that's what Get a Life Astrology is about. I'm gonna go put some chapstick on my lips because I don't know why I had that little split there. Peace, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of the Mercury retrograde, rest of your week. Have a positive release with this lunar eclipse, and get this information popping with this Mercury cazimi too. Retrograde means lessons. Learn your lesson. Everybody has a lesson to learn. Probably more than one. Peace. Whew, you know it's Mercury retrograde when you know the password, we're able to change the password of your email account, but it keeps trying to get the authentication code, and you're tongue tied on Mercury retrograde too, sent to your old phone that you ain't had like since 3 years ago. And it won't do nothing else. It won't let you do it anywhere else. God damn. You know it's Mercury retrograde when the people downstairs in your apartment building move out and no one knew on the 1st of the month. And so they put a big ass dumpster in 2 parking spaces on your block for them moving out. What else happened in Mercury retrograde? We're in the midpoint, so that's good. But of course there's gonna be a part 3, maybe even a 4. Thanks for hollering.